Washington, believe it or not, Washington's divided over a jobs plan to get Americans back to work again. Eric Cantor says President Obama's plan will not work. He says, been there, done that. He says both parties need to find a solution other than raising taxes on top earners.
We know in this country right now that there is a complaint about folks at the top end of the income scales, that they make too much and too many don't make enough. Well, we need to go encourage those at the top of the income scale to actually put their money to work to create more jobs so that we can see a closing of the gap. You know, we're about income mobility, and that's what we should be focused on to take care of the income disparity in this country.
Income mobility is the catchphrase this morning. Good morning to Tony Sayegh, Republican political analyst and national political correspondent for Talk Radio News Service, and Kirsten Powers, Daily Beast columnist and Fox News contributor. How the two of you doing today, huh?
Great, Bill.
Yeah, okay. Income mobility, Tony. What is that? What's the idea here that Cantor's trying to get across?
Well, no, the idea is that obviously class warfare has been the trump card played by the Democrats under President Obama's leadership in this whole political arena. This is their salvo to respond to that. I think that's the wrong word, too. It's economic growth. My old boss, Jack Kemp, used to say, the rising tide lifts all boats, and that rising tide is growing this economy so it could start to multiply and affect all layers of American workers. And if you create jobs and you create wealth through the private sector and redistribute wealth and capital in the private sector, the economy flourishes and grows. When government tries to control the process and the outcome and redistributes wealth, it stays stagnant and creates larger deficits, which is what we're dealing with.
What
we need
Cantor's
to focus on growth.
Consistently is less regulation because he thinks that will take the shackles off of business in America.
And reforming tax policy, which is another very important thing.
True. He believes that, too. Kirsten, what do you think about what he's talking about?
Well, I thought it was interesting that he referred to closing the gap, which is not a normal Republican talking point. In fact, normally when Democrats complain about income inequality in this country, you usually get the name calling and the class warfare stuff. So it seems like he's shifting his tone a little bit, and I don't know if it's...
Into what direction do you conclude?
Well, into sort of acknowledging that there is a problem of income inequality in this country, that it's not okay that that you have this tiny percentage of people who make the bulk of the wealth, and while there's so many other people suffering. And I think he was much more conciliatory, frankly, in this interview than he's been at any other point in discussing
this.
But
how you arrive at that is the debate that's underway.
No, well, actually, it's been a debate that whether it even matters, frankly. Like I said, when Democrats typically talk about income equality, you usually get a lot of pushback and saying, oh, that's just class warfare and who cares? These people earn this money, rather than recognizing that something is really askew, that when you look at how much people's salaries have grown, for example, for doing the exact same thing on Wall Street.
I understand what you're saying, but Tony, what he was arguing is not to go ahead and change the tax system, but how to encourage businesses to hire more so that more of the unemployed get a job, and that's how you decrease the disparity that Kirsten's describing.
Well,
do I have that right?
You do, although part of that is changing the tax code, particularly when you have the highest corporate tax in the industrial Western world in the United States.
Corporate tax, not personal tax.
Not personal income, corporate taxes. But that's also a hindrance and a barrier. Here's what Kirsten's assumption forgets, though. She thinks wealth is this stagnant thing that just sits there. Most Republicans and people who believe in the American economy's dynamism believe that wealth can actually grow, be created, and redistributed through the economy itself, not through government manipulation. And this is not a Republican or Democratic problem. The top 5% of high-earning Americans under Bill Clinton had their wealth risen by 19% versus 1% under George Bush. This is a problem since 1968 because we've gotten to a point where government solutions are starting to trump the private sector solutions to growing our economy. We need to refocus on liberating capital, liberating wealth. That creates that rising tide, lifts all those boats by creating jobs.
And that's the reason why this jobs bill hasn't gone anywhere. Kirsten, go ahead. Respond to that.
Well, I just think that those are such old, stale talking points. Somehow the Democrats don't understand that. And you're just referring to Bill Clinton, who was the last president really to oversee a strong economy in this country for any kind of extended period of time. It's not that Democrats don't understand that, or even the idea that you're saying that the government doesn't play any role in this, when Republicans all their arguments are about things things that the government should do, that the government has to, create this environment where these corporations can flourish more, when in fact they're all sitting on piles of cash.
But you would agree that if you encourage the environment to go ahead and take some of the regulations off companies, they would change the way they do business.
Here's the problem, Bill.
That's the reason why the money's sitting there, Kirsten. You know that. They're not sure what's going to come up around the corner.
Look, in a moment of bipartisan candor, let's just say the truth. The problem is this. The Republican solution is very long-term. People want results now. The Democrat solution is way too short-term. It's only going to solve the problem for a year. We need something in the middle.
Kirsten, thank you.
Okay.
I wish I had more time.
If you're going to agree with me, you could say it, Kirsten.
I agree with what you just said.
Whoa.
I sense that.
9:47 a.m. Eastern Time. Monday, October 17th. Thanks to both of you.